done.
You belong to them. They'll never let you go.
I'll find a way.
Welcome to Mojo at the Movies. I'm Eric, and once again, I am joined by Manny. How you doing?
Doing very good, Eric.
So we went to go see Red Sparrow. This is the latest movie starring Jennifer Lawrence, directed by Francis Lawrence. No
Worked
relation.
together on the Hunger Game movies, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. But this is not a Hunger Game movie. This is a
At all.
spy movie.
Yeah.
It's a Russian spy movie in which she plays a Red Sparrow, a Russian spy. She starts off as a ballerina, but quickly gets into the spy game, which we'll get to.
Because of a weird series of circumstances.
That happened at the beginning of the movie.
This happened at the beginning of the movie.
Excruciating.
We won't talk about it.
Right.
It's a bit hashtag spoilies, but
Right.
we'll move on. We'll power through. She becomes a spy.
So here are 3 reasons we think you guys should see it. Manny, let's start with the first one.
For me, it's that Jennifer Lawrence is a total badass in this movie.
Yeah.
She goes through a good physical transformation.
Put on
where
some
she
muscle.
put on some
yeah.
muscle tone, especially from she learned to dance ballet. She learned how to do some combat. Basically, just what her body goes through in this movie, and it's her. It's really her. Like through a bunch of physical scenes where you would think they would use a double or anything, and it's really her. I mean, it's
Well,
it's crazy.
first of all, she trained with what's his name, Kurt Froman, who's a major player in the Hollywood ballet scene. And
I didn't
she
even know
studied-
Hollywood had an entire ballet scene,
right, exactly.
let alone that this guy's the biggest player in it.
The biggest.
Hey, sometimes we gotta learn.
But she trained for months and months on end to learn ballet, also to learn to speak with a Russian accent. And I found her accent was, I was never put off by either her accent or her
It
performance.
didn't sound forced or comedic, and when she spoke in Russian, for me it sounded natural. Obviously, I'm not Russian, so I wouldn't know, but it sounded pretty good.
I heard some reviewers talk about how it sounded a little bit Boris and Natasha-ish. It could be ridiculed. I didn't mind it
That's a bit
that
harsh
much.
for me, but I do find that she did a very good job at it. More believable than some bigger actors trying to do accents.
And you mentioned her performance and being a badass and her body. I mean, one thing that a lot of people are talking about is the fact that she does a nude scene. It's a full frontal nude scene. And what's interesting is that she's now gone on record to say that it was empowering for her because of what happened with the photo hacks of a couple of years ago. She felt that the power was taken away from her, and in this particular scene, she is in the driver's seat. She is not only making the people in the scene uncomfortable with how she wields the power, but you're in the theater going, you're a little bit like she's very intimidating.
Very intimidating in this movie. I think she has that intimidating quality because of her character, and I think she just grasped this character, and it's a very believable performance. When she emotes in this movie, you believe it. There's a wild transformation from what she is at the beginning of the movie.
That's
almost
true.
kind of like a pushover type of person that's like told to do stuff and she does it. And towards the end of the movie, grabs
takes
full
control.
control of the entire situation, which again leads back to our first point that I think her performance in this movie and Jennifer Lawrence as an actress has become a serious actress.
Right, exactly. She made the decisions to assume all these things in this movie.
Yeah.
And one thing is, Francis Lawrence, you can tell she's a bit of his muse. There's a lot of close-ups on her face. They're not huge facial expressions, but just these small things
These
in her
subtle
steely
things
glaze glance. But it just. No, she's got it. And she was so in character that when they were filming in Budapest, apparently she got into a fight, a bar fight.
You sent me that article before. It was pretty hilarious.
Some guy wanted to take a selfie, and I guess she was just feeling the role, and she got into a bar fight.
And then again, we have Christian Bale, who obliterates a lighting director on the set of Terminator. So I mean, actors, right? That's what they got to do.
Right, exactly. Well, if they're hanging out with Kurt Froman. Okay, so the second point is it's not just Jennifer Lawrence, it's the rest of the supporting cast.
Yeah, really solid supporting cast.
Because, within a couple of minutes of the movie, you're like, oh, Jeremy Irons?
But that's also to my respect. I only saw one trailer, and I also didn't read the poster. So I think I was watching it, and I turned over to you in the theater. I was like, oh my God, Jeremy Irons is in this movie. And you're
And
like,
he's
yeah,
good.
I know. I was so surprised.
Joel Edgerton
He's
as
solid.
well?
Yeah.
Who I don't always love, but he does a pretty good. I mean, he's so the American in this movie.
He
Nate
is-
Nash is his name.
Yeah, Nate Nash, most American name ever. And also he's like, any movie comes about where they're like, hey, you know, we need like a 40-something guy who's like in shape but not in shape, who is like all around American, and we need him to give us a solid performance. It's like, let's call up Joel.
Call Joel.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's free.
Yeah, he'll do it. But overall, his character arc too is a bit, for me, it's a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah.
But he does a good job at it.
I think, you know, what's really great, Charlotte Rampling, she plays the teacher at the school, at the Sparrow School, where the spies go to learn the art of seduction, or as
I called them, the super sexy spies.
Super sexy spies.
Yeah.
Or as Jennifer Lawrence says, at one point, you sent me to whore school.
Yeah, it was pretty hardcore.
And so Charlotte Rampling as the teacher there she's pretty badass too.
Yeah, the way she's kind of has this power over the class and over the whole students, and kind of pointing out these things and aspects of people's personality where it's like, this is what you'd have to do to exceed in this type of environment. And I was really happy to see her because she had a short run on Dexter.
Yep.
And I loved her on that. She played like a psychiatrist that kind of understood Dexter's character and like opened up different feelings and emotions. And I find she took that character and amped it up in this movie, and I think she did a fantastic job.
And also Mary Louise Parker, out of nowhere.
I was not expecting that either.
Because
like,
everybody else, all
here?
the other characters are kind of a certain ilk, and then all of a sudden she comes in and she has this great. It's a short scene, but she steals.
It's a short scene. She's like you said, she steals it.
Yeah.
But also, her character is such a funny, wacky little character.
Yeah, it's kind of out of nowhere.
She's in a position of power, and she knows she's in that position of power, and she's kind of using that against everybody else that she's trying to manipulate. It's not really anything for the story, but I mean, like, her character plays a key turning point in this story, and it was just fun to see her come out and do that type of role.
And speaking of turning points, our third point, you know, another reason to see this is that it really hits all the right spy movie beats.
Yeah.
And how do we say this? It puts a twist on the spy movie twist.
On the spy movie twist.
Right.
Yeah. It really goes through like the common paces, like the common pace where, oh, I'm not really a spy, but then I'm really good at being a spy, and then it's like, oh, here's my hidden agenda, why I'm doing this, and this is how I'm going to execute it, and oh, I learned everything so quickly. It goes through all those paces.
But it does keep you on your toes.
It does. There's some really intense fight scenes and situations
and a lot of hyper violence.
Yeah. When a scene is violent, it is violent.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, and it kind of gives like a good shock factor to every violent scene. But the violence is not overdone to where it's gore porn. It's more like, this is how you would have to go through this type of situation.
You know, I'll say one thing. The movie is 2.5 hours long. And so I found it too long.
It feels 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, I think they could have, they would have benefited from shortening it and throwing some things on the cutting room floor. But essentially, it does feel like one of those spy movies where you're like, you're kind of following the action, and you like the fact, like we said, there's a twist at the end. That's a twist on the twist, and that really got me. I mean, how memorable is this movie going to be in the grand scope of things?
I think I was telling our director Phoebe before. It's the type of movie that I saw in theater because we get all these cool passes. Thank you very much, Eric. I don't know if it was a movie I would run out to see. I would see it. And I don't think I would run out to watch it on digital download or rent it on the PlayStation Network. I think it's really like, oh, Red Sparrow got added to Netflix. Let me watch it again.
Is this a Netflix movie? Okay.
It's not a Netflix movie. Mm-hmm. I think you should see it.
Yeah.
You should see it if you like spy movies.
Okay.
That is my review.
Now, how does she compare to, for example, Atomic Blonde?
I find Charlize Theron is like next level actress for me. I always have like a little bit of a soft spot for her. But to Atomic Blonde, I think it's not really the same type of movie. Atomic Blonde is an action movie that's kind of being like, hey, remember the 80s? Wasn't it cool? Let's do all this cool stuff.
This was more of a throwback to the 70s.
This was more like a throwback to those old school spy movies where it's story and then whatever happened, there was a reason for it to happen. It wasn't just an action set piece. Everything drove the story forward or pushed the illusion that Jennifer Lawrence's character was trying to build to go to that next step, to hit that next story beat. And Atomic Blonde was more like, here's a fun story, classic type of action movie story, and here's a great bunch of action set pieces that are really fun to watch, that escalate throughout the movie goes.
Well, I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. Let us know in your comments. Thanks, Manny, and we'll see you guys next time.